The issue of religion and violence has returned to the news agenda. Christians in the Holy Land say they're under attack as Israeli Palestinian violence soars in the region amid claims Israel's right-wing government has fostered a culture of impunity. Reverend Aaron Eime is the deacon of Christ Church in Jerusalem's Old City and a representative of the International Christian Embassy. He joins me now. Reverend Aaron, thank you so much for joining me. It's good to see you again. Could you just start off by giving us a rundown of what's actually happening out there?
Well, shalom from Jerusalem and happy Jewish New Year. Great to see you again. The Middle East has never been a stranger, unfortunately, to religious intolerance or violence. It's also been home to blessings and faith and hope. But unfortunately, we've seen an upswing in violence against minority groups, and one of those happens to have been Christians, particularly Protestant Christians, and because of a view that we might be in a right-wing government, there doesn't seem to be a sense of defense where the government is not going to enforce the police to go and actually prosecute these people. And so these minority groups find themselves actually quite powerless. They're very small in number. The Protestant community is less than probably 6,000 in Israel, so tiny little group. But we've had cemeteries vandalized and smashed. Gatherings have been They've been
well, let's take a look, Aaron.
Violent activity.
We've got some clips we can take a look of what's been going on, actually. If we can go to that now, that'd be great. So we can clearly see there's a Christian woman here being hounded in Israel by a group of Jews. And these children end up spitting at her, throwing water bottles at her and kicking her.
Yes, unfortunately, this comes from bad shepherds. Their leadership should be teaching them the actual institutes of the Torah, but they're actually supposed to be kind and generous and a light to the nations. And this certainly isn't that way, unfortunately.
But what worries me is the increasing amount of these clips that I'm seeing popping up on social media at the moment. We've got another couple of short clips here I just want to show our audience. Because, go on, here we go, thank you. I want to hear what this guy's got to say.
We don't do anything illegal. You cannot take us to jail. If you are not involved, please go. Shalom, my friend. We bless you.
You're in my country.
You come to the United States, you can say whatever you want to say. That is a free world, yes?
You're not in the United States. You're in Israel.
I understand.
You cannot say whatever you want to say here.
Yes, you can. It's
from any religion, but it's really big and it's inappropriate for this place. Okay? That's a Jewish place. You need to respect it. Can you please put it inside?
So I'm not sure how much volume we had there in those two clips. So the first clip, the Jewish fellow tells the Christian he should, by right, kill him. And in the second clip that we're seeing on screen at the moment, we're seeing a cleric being told to remove his cross because it's an offensive symbol. Now, this to me is absolutely shocking. Do you feel like you have freedom of worship over there at the moment?
We do have freedom of worship. This is true. Some of the incidences that are being described here are the ones that are out in public, although there have been some private gatherings, particularly against some Messianic groups, where their private gatherings have been infiltrated and attacked, and this has caused some consternation.
Okay, well, Aaron, I want to bring my dualists in because I know Emma Webb's going to want to ask you a question on this.
Hi, Aaron. This is really hard for me because watching these videos, I find this very sad. I spent a lot of time in Israel. As you know, Calvin, I actually almost converted to Orthodox Judaism myself, so I spent a lot of time with people from the Orthodox community. And I find it very sad to see these scenes. I've seen videos of people sitting, Jewish people sitting in a cemetery, in a Christian cemetery, telling the Christians there to leave, read stories about the reduction in numbers of Christians in the Old City to 2,000 people, the local authority limiting the number of Christians who can go into the Holy Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Is this something that the Israeli authorities are taking seriously? Because I know a few years ago the Israeli authorities said that they sort of dismissed the concerns that were being raised by Christians worldwide over these sorts of incidents?
Well, there's obviously no official government policy sanctioning this. This is all illegal. These are groups that are individualistic. They're particularly perhaps streams of an Orthodox Judaism. It's not common amongst all Jewish people, of course. Absolutely not. I've lived here for 25 years. I study with rabbis on a weekly basis. We have fantastic relationships. What's going on now, I think, is some very poor shepherds which have taught some inappropriate things, and there's no defence.
Okay, I want to bring Laura Dodsworth in as well, if you've got a question for Aaron.
Yes, I just want to say that although the bill to halt the punishment of that the bill to punish Christians who proselytise has been halted, is it in fact that the demand for that kind of law is so strong on the ground that it's almost like it's operating de facto?
Yes, I think you might be right. The bill to actually make proselytation illegal is something that comes up very regularly, and it's almost always defeated by the government and by the judiciary, because Israel is a democracy, and you do actually have freedom of speech, and this is actually quite a tolerant society. It's just that we've seen something very recently which is causing people to get a little bit concerned. It's physical attacks, and it's also occurring through the denial of certain visas with certain communities.
I think something you said about the bad shepherds was really pertinent in that first clip that Calvin showed. It was very distressing to see children being so unkind to women on the streets, but they were surrounded by adults who did nothing. So those were obviously men in authority.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And this is what I think is being reflected. It's almost like Ezekiel 34 being played out again. It's poor shepherds who, instead of feeding the sheep, of caring for the poor and the stranger, which the Torah actually tells us to do, it's the reverse, where we're viewed as pagans, as idol worshippers, and then they see the more violent parts of the Bible that are quite ancient, but bringing them to today's world.
As someone who believes in building Judeo-Christian relations and someone who's been a massive supporter of the nation of Israel, it's difficult to see this kind of thing. I'd like to end with a question from Emma Webb.
I just wanted to ask you, as Laura raised there, the bad shepherds. I've seen reports that this tends to be young yeshiva students. In your experience, does it tend to be those aged around 15 to 16 who might be, I would say from my experience of the Orthodox Jewish community, this is very much an exception, unusually being encouraged to want to sort of drive Christians out of the Holy Land, perhaps?
I think you're right. It's definitely immaturity, because the mature rabbis, the ones who are older, mature, who have probably had Christian friends for quite some time, don't agree with this at all. And they certainly would not be teaching their young and their flock to do this. This could be young, immature, and actually probably poorly trained yeshiva students, in my opinion. I think Israel needs friends. And when you hurt your friends, then sometimes they stop becoming your friends. And in a world that's where you're surrounded by people who are not your friends, you need all the friends you can get. So this is, I think, short-sightedness.
Sage words of wisdom there. Thank you very much. That was the Reverend Aaron Eime.